All right, welcome back to Fright Night Flicks, your go-to horror movie review podcast. I'm Daniel. This guy's Darren.
Hi, guys.
So we're still on our Texas Chainsaw Massacre review spree, we'll call it.
That's something. Yeah, we only have a few more left, right? So we're going to watch Texas Chainsaw 3D. And then we have Leatherface, and then I think we have the Netflix one.
I think you're right. That's about it. So for the Texas Chainsaw, we wanted to go through from start to finish. But I think in the future, we're going to kind of like meander around.
It's a lot to watch just one style of movie like 9 times in a row.
I know.
It's a lot.
I mean, there's part of me that likes doing it that way because it's like structured and you get to see the whole series and you remember a lot at the beginning. Having said that, you also get very confused on what happened in which movie, you know?
Well, and there's a little fatigue. It's like, okay, we see essentially it's like the same type of movie every time, just different variations and different flavors, right?
Yeah. So like, I want to like be able to do like one Friday the 13th, maybe a Halloween, maybe a Leprechaun.
For sure, a Leprechaun.
People Under the Stairs.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, exactly. Jump around. So that's probably what we'll do once we finish up this series. So last podcast, we asked you guys, we begged you guys to leave us reviews, and you guys came through big time. So we're going to read some of the reviews. These are left on Apple, so thank you guys who left reviews on Spotify. There's not actually like comments on those. They just give stars.
Yeah.
So we saw those go up. Like we had great turnout on that. So if you want to be cool like these people we're going to tell you about, leave a review.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one we have is Renzo the Trucker. I stumbled upon this podcast while trying to find a podcast that talks about horror flicks. I usually give a podcast about 10 minutes before I either click off or continue to listen to it, mostly because they're too loud and obnoxious. But these two give off nice, calm vibes that I love. As a truck driver, I try to find ways to stay awake while driving. I was instantly hooked on the podcast. It's nice to see other people's perspectives on movies because we won't agree on the same things. A lot of laughs and positive vibes. Hope to see this podcast grow. Keep up the hard work.
Hey, thanks, Renzo.
I love this one because I'm a commuter too. Like, I mean, I don't truck drive where I'm on the road like that.
Small time community.
I commute like
you drive
3
a
hours.
lot though.
I do. It's like 3 hours, whatever. A couple times a week. It's not crazy.
Don't want to give away your commuting details.
No, but I feel the exact same way. Like I'll look for certain podcasts and like you turn one on and you're not that into it. Whatever. I totally understand what he's saying.
No, I get it too. I listen to podcasts too, so it's nice to hear that people like to listen to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Renzo.
All right, Matt. What up, Dan and Darren? My name is Matt. I'm a huge horror fan like yourselves. I'm a big fan of Fright Night gaming, so it was only right I check out Fright Night Flicks. Just finished your TCM remake episode, and y'all did great with these episodes so far. I'm ready to hear your reviews on so many other movies, franchises, and series. Keep it up. You're doing great. P.S. I've listened to the gaming podcast for a while now, and I've never seen your YouTube channel and totally just realized y'all are legit twins. That's good.
What's up, Matt? That's really funny. Yeah, we're identical twins, if you guys didn't know. So we are like the legitest of the twins.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more legit than
I would
that.
say a purebred twin.
Yeah. Thanks for the review, man.
Yeah, it's appreciated. I do. Honestly, all these reviews are great. It's awesome to hear this stuff.
I know. It's like we are doing good, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. MBBLS. These guys are awesome. I find their dynamic wholesome and entertaining as a viewer. While they don't claim to be connoisseurs of any kind, that's a fact.
Yeah.
I trust their opinions. They clearly have a passion for the content they put out, which makes them even more fun to watch. They're like cheeseburgers at barbecue, comforting, enjoyable, and always a good time.
Dude, that is great. Thank you.
I love that.
I like that people call us wholesome. I guess we are. We don't cuss or anything. I mean, when you do, I beep it.
We'll throw out I was gonna do it, make you beep it out.
I was saying he does it for shock factor, more for humor than anything.
Yeah. No, that's appreciated. It's true. Like we're not we never claim to be like experts in horror. We love like the genre and stuff, but we don't like dig deep. You know, some people know. Like,
we're not like we don't go into this technical detail. I don't know who directors or anything like that is. I just watch horror movies.
Yeah,
we've always liked watching horror movies. Don't really know much about them.
Although,
just watch.
As much as we're watching these TCMs, we're kind of messing around where we're becoming kind of.
I mean, we're kind of experts in it now because we've watched every single one in detail multiple times.
Yeah. We don't just watch these one time. We watch them like 4 times
for a review. Legit, like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. All right, and our last one's by Krung Hole. Must listen for new and old horror fans alike. If you're a true horror fan, Fright Night Flicks is a must listen. This podcast stands out because the hosts are genuine enthusiasts who love the genre as much as we do. They skip the pretentious film jargon and focus on what really matters. Not only do we skip it, we don't even know a lot of it.
You know who this is, right?
No.
This is Horror Dork.
Oh, that's right. His name is Krunghole.
What's up, Horror Dork?
Oh, this is one of our members. Thank you, man. That's right. I forgot his name was Krunghole. Okay. Their reviews are personal, unbiased, and brimming with passion, making each episode a refreshing dive into horror. Whether you're looking for deep dives into classics or new release, Fright Night Flicks delivers with enthusiasm and insights that you can feel. Highly recommended.
Dude.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Horror Dork. What a nice thought out review.
Not only supports the podcast as a member, also leaves great comments.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for the reviews, dude. Those are so nice to hear. We put a sheet ton of work into these, so it's nice to get some love back.
Dude, it really does. It kind of makes my day. When I read those, I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome.
I know.
So today we're going to be talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, actually, it's Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Not 2, but 3.
3D, not 4D. There actually is 4D now.
4D sucks.
4D is too much.
Dude, Avatar 4D was insane.
Yeah, we don't need.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So this came out in 2013. The director is John Luessenhop. Writer Adam Marcus, Deborah Sullivan, and Kirsten Elms. All right, so let's get into the movie. Now, Texas Chainsaw 3D is interesting on there's a couple things. One, there's a few scenes here that like you can tell are obviously supposed to be 3D.
I love I know. 3D was such a fad for a while. But there's the coffin scene, and we'll see a couple throughout.
Chainsaw throw.
Yeah, it just comes right at your face. That sounds weird. Yeah. You guys know what I'm saying? Pops out right at you. But yeah, this one, you know what's funny with the Texas Chainsaw movies? Each one has its own feel. Like, is it going to be goofy? Is it going to be really super serious? Like the last two we watched were really serious. This one I like because it is that more of a campy style. It's kind of just like, it's not a good movie, but it is kind of fun to watch, right?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It also is different. It's very different than other movies because it's not really like the family. It's usually the family's like the bad guys and it's focused on them. They're not really the bad guys. We have Leatherface, but really the bad guys are the townspeople.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know what? There's really no family to focus on at all.
No, there really isn't. The family's kind of all dead in this movie.
Yeah, it's just Leatherface.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting movie, we'll say.
All right, well, let's get into it.
So we start off with a chaotic flashback from the past. They show the old Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, the scenes from it.
Wait, not a flashback from the future?
That's yeah. So they're going through the scenes. They're showing the chaos from the movie, which I actually kind of liked because it's a little throwback.
Well, it needed to happen because there's been so many TCMs since. Like the last two we watched had nothing to do with the original, right?
Yeah, they had to ground us back in what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we see Sally. She ends up they show her getting taken away in the truck or whatever. And she's going to the hospital. And then we're introduced to our first character of this movie. That's going to be Sheriff Hooper.
And just so you know, if you didn't watch the first TCM, Sally's the only victim who got away.
Right. Sole survivor.
Yep.
What's it called? The
final girl.
The final girl. Yeah.
I'm reading a book. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah. So Sheriff Hooper arrives at the family house. Now, again, this is just after, I don't know if I explained it. This is just after the events took place. So they're showing the flashbacks of the movie. But what they're really showing is like this all just happened in this movie, and Hooper's responding to that scene.
Yeah, it's almost like the next day.
Or the same day, right after it happened.
Yeah, could have been. Yeah. Undetermined.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. So Hooper arrives at the house. There's no backup yet. It's just him. And then it starts getting tense, right? There's a standoff between him and the cook. And not just the cook, there is a family of hillbillies that are now in the family house.
So that's the first thing. Again, this kind of sets the tone for what this movie's going to be. And it's kind of goofy, right? It's not as serious as the original TCM. It's a house full of just like some heavyset guys with beards. You know, like what do you think hillbilly guys look like? Mountain men, right?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I have a little tip here or a fun trivia. One of those mountain men, do you know who it is?
Rob Zombie?
Gunner.
No, really?
Yeah, he played the first Leatherface. He's one of them.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes more sense. However, to me, it didn't fit the original family vibe. I'm like, who are these people? And then also, like, you kind of thought the family was like this tight, insulated group. And now we're kind of expanding just a bunch of randoms, right?
Yeah, and
bunch
some of them,
randos.
like, they were like they're hillbillies, but they don't fit, the personality of the family.
We're Sawyers. Hell yeah.
No, it was weird, but well, let's move on.
Here's one thing we know: they're all Sawyers. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a big thing in this
Born and
movie.
bred around there. Born and bred.
Yeah, they're all armed. Everybody's got guns. There's a standoff, right?
Yeah, that's a big part. Forget the knives, chainsaws. We got guns now.
Yeah. So Hooper demands Leatherface. They need Leatherface because they've all, we found out Sally told them all that they killed her friends. So they're there to get him. Now, Cook initially is kind of like, I don't want to give up Leatherface, but his kin.
The family decides it's the best thing to do.
Yeah,
For the family.
The family. So the other Sawyers don't seem to have such an affection to Leatherface. And
Yeah, they're ready to sell the dude out.
They're like, let's turn him in. So
Wait, now that I'm
Cook kind
thinking-
of turns.
Well, so yeah, so Cook changes his mind. They're gonna give up Leatherface. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, wouldn't Cook also be hunted as well? He was a pretty large part in the killings.
Yeah, you're right.
he tortured a woman.
Yeah, he should totally be in
Anyways.
trouble for this as well. That's good point.
Thank
All
you.
right.
See what I
So-
bring?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Cook though, we gotta set the stage. I think the original Cook passed away by the time of this movie, unfortunately,
Rip.
because this Cook doesn't really look like him. In fact, he's younger than the other Cook, and he doesn't sell the Cook vibe.
No, there's nothing Cook about the dude. In fact, I didn't even realize it was the Cook till they called him Drayton. And I'm like, wait, that's supposed to be Cook? He somehow in a day, maybe not even a full day, went backwards in Benjamin Button. Is that right? He actually got younger.
We have a tense scene developing here. So at this point, we meet Bert, a local vigilante leader. He arrives outside of the scene with a bunch of his boys, and they're there to kill Leatherface.
Yeah, they don't want Leatherface to get, under the cops' control. They want to just take him out.
Yeah, this is the good old boys. I mean, these guys are like drinking beers, shotguns, on the rack behind them in the truck.
Doing the Lord's work.
Yeah. So Bert's going to be a key character in this movie.
Yeah.
So he kind of like overrides Sheriff Hooper. Hooper's supposed to be running the scene, but it's clear the vigilantes have kind of taken over.
I mean, at that point, there's like 15 vigilantes and one sheriff. So he can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, and at one point, Bert says, lynch these sons of bitches. And the funny thing about that is they throw a rope over this structure, and this thing's only it's like 8 feet high. Like, Leatherface is going to be standing up with a noose around it. There's no way you're going to hang him from this thing. All right, so if the scene was intense enough, we have a wild card in the vigilante crew who grabs a Molotov cocktail and just chucks it into the house.
Time to start the party. Not enough talking at that point.
Yeah, so at this point, I mean, it just all hell breaks loose.
Right.
The Sawyers just start shooting, firing out at the cops, or the cops and the vigilantes. They start shooting back. People are getting clipped, and we see one by one all the family members getting taken out.
I'll say this too. The Sawyers did not have a good strategy in this fight because they all huddled around one window downstairs. This house is two-storied. Wouldn't you have some people upstairs with guns too?
Yeah,
You know what
maybe
I'm
put a
saying?
couple on the flanks outside.
No, they just stood right in the firing range, and it didn't work out for them.
No.
Pretty much a total loss.
So we transition to a little bit later at night. Now the fire's burned out. Everybody's dead. The vigilantes are searching through the remains. They find Leatherface's saw. Then Gavin, one of the members of the vigilante crew, goes on a little search. He finds, you remember the camouflage with all the cars from the first movie? He goes over there, finds the cars, and then he finds something else. A poor young lady who's been shot, and she's holding a baby.
The scene was interesting.
Yeah, let me explain to you. Gavin takes the baby from the woman. You think, maybe helping her. No, he delivers the first Karate Kid kill in TCM history.
I mean, I thought about this probably more than I should. My thinking is, it's not so much the strength of the kick. The lady was probably already on the verge of death, and he just like hit her, and she just fell over. Right? But it was
guess.
a sick kick.
Well, it was just like a front kick, like a wah, and then he just kicks her in the neck, and she just falls over dead.
Yeah. So now he's got his baby, and then he wants to go deliver that baby to his wife. Right?
Who's on the scene? This murderous scene. This is like a hangout spot.
Yeah. All the hillbillies and their wives the other hillbillies, I guess, are just hanging out there.
Yeah, it's like they murdered this whole entire family, wiped them off the face of the earth, burned their house down. Now they're just gonna have fun and scavenge.
Taking babies, you know?
Yeah, taking babies, no big deal. So this baby, so we have Gavin and Arlene. That's the couple that took the baby. The baby, spoiler alert, is going to be Heather, who we will meet actually right now.
Well, and let's just say he only grabbed the baby because the wife wanted it. You could tell even from the get-go, it's not like he wanted it. It was for his wife.
Yes, great relationship, you know?
Yeah.
So years later, we find ourselves at the grocery store and we meet Heather, who's now working in the meat department. Again, Heather was the baby.
Right.
No, not a baby.
No, and of course, if you're a Sawyer, you're going to be working the meat department because that's what they do.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, she's been taken by this other family. So at this point, she doesn't know she's a Sawyer.
And I'll say this too, her look, they give her an interesting look, right? She's got like the dark circles around the eyes. She's kind of palish. She looks almost vampire-ish a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Goth.
Yeah, you could just tell. Yeah, goth. That's a good way.
Yeah.
There's something up with her.
Yeah. So we're introduced to her friend Nikki, who's a very interesting character. She works also at the grocery store on the cash register. They talk about how she went on a double date with Heather's boyfriend's band buddy. And we learn that Ryan. So, okay, let me sum up the characters or kind of clean it up here. We have Heather, who's with Ryan, and we'll meet him here in a minute. Then we have Nikki, who is with Kenny, and Kenny's Ryan's buddy.
Yeah, and Nikki is a wild card. She's a little loose. You know what I'm saying?
So we learned they're all going to be going on a trip to New Orleans for Halloween. We cut over to Heather's apartment where we meet Ryan for the first time, and Ryan's a boxer.
Okay, yeah, a couple things with this. So Ryan actually is played by Trey Songz, I believe. So he's not an actor. He's an artist in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so, which may explain some of his acting. The acting in this movie is not great. Let's just put it out there.
Wait, is he a musician or something?
Yeah, Trey Songz. You never heard of him?
Oh, you said an artist. I was like, does he like draw?
No.
Because there was like art
Like a
stuff.
rapper.
There was like art stuff in the house.
So, okay, let's get into the house. The house was a blend to me of like an artist house and like a crack den.
Oh, dude, it definitely had cracked in vibes.
Like
where
when he's boxing.
Yeah, the walls are like concrete or chipped away. There's like a random like brick wall in the house.
Yeah, I'm
the
like
decorations are poor at best.
It was weird. Because I honestly was like, is this a house or is this just like a workout facility? I didn't even know what this was.
It was weird.
Yeah, odd.
But yeah, like I said, they introduce, like, you would think like you're gonna have nerdy guys. There's nothing wrong. Hey, we have friends that were in the band and stuff. Not everyone's nerdy, but like you
We had friends. We definitely weren't.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, you know, you think like they're gonna have like a different type of characters in this
I
movie.
can't get over it. We had friends that were in the band. We're cool guys.
All right, I'll move on from that. So Heather, we also see she collects bones. Like there's a weird scene where she has like these they're like little bones though. It's like
bird bones.
Yeah, Ryan says like, I thought you were gonna bring your work home. And she's got these tiny bones that she collects. It's just anyways, it's
just letting you know she's a Sawyer. She's got that Hitch blood.
Yeah, that's true.
That's honestly what that whole thing is. And I'll say this about Ryan. He doesn't have like a lot of personality. He doesn't seem like to have emotion really.
No, that's a lot of the characters in this movie, to be honest. So,
well, I'll disagree because I think Kenny's got a lot of personality.
I don't mind driving to Texas. I hear they got great barbecue.
So stupid. Kitty. Well, we'll get into Kitty. Okay. So her and Ryan are packing for the trip when a mysterious package arrives. Inside, Heather finds documents revealing that her unknown grandmother has died. Heather travels to her parents' house, Gavin and Arlene, to uncover the truth. So again, she thinks these are her normal parents. She doesn't realize she was taken as a baby.
No, but now she does.
Well, now she does because she goes to her parents and they tell her, you're not our kid.
Not only that, the dad basically says, we never really liked you.
Okay, this confrontation, it's like hostile from the start. It's as if they've hated her entire life. And as if like she was thrust upon them.
But it does make sense from the father's point of view because the father never really cared about her. He just took a baby and gave it to his wife.
I guess you raise a kid your whole life. Like you think there'd be an attachment of some sort.
These people stole a baby, Daniel. They also killed a family. They stole a baby from a family they just killed. Like, I don't think these people have a lot of morals, right? They're maybe like a little loose.
Well, let me give you some dialogue. So Gavin says, this is her dad, your mother has a defective uterus. She wanted a kid. End of story.
Oh, explaining why they took her?
Yeah, that's his explanation.
Oh, that sounds like Gavin.
Yeah, Arlene adds on, we're the ones who raised you. You're damn lucky if I say so. Again, Heather's not like knocking them for raising her. She's just wondering like how she, like why she was adopted.
I just want to know where I came from.
Shut up. You came from a shit heap. Your mother has a defective uterus.
We're not good enough.
Enough.
I wanted to have a child.
End of story. If I had half of mine, I'd have left you there.
It's like as if Heather was like, why did you do this to me? She was more of just like, what happened?
It seemed like an unnecessary reaction from her parents. Yeah.
Yeah. So Heather ends up leaving.
But I'll just say this. They're just building like these people aren't good. That's what we learned. Bad parents.
Bad people.
Bad people. Yeah.
So Heather leaves. She's determined to find the truth of her family, who she learned was in Newt, Texas. So Heather goes back to Ryan, breaks the news of the whole family, the truth behind like where she came from.
Ryan, by the way, no real questions on it. Just like, okay.
I was adopted.
Baby, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's like, dude, your girlfriend just found some pretty big information. But as we find out, Ryan doesn't really care about her.
Yeah, Ryan's got other things on his mind.
Yeah.
So we meet the whole group back at the house. We have Heather, Ryan, Nikki, and Kenny, and they decide, you know what? Instead of just going straight to New Orleans, we'll stop off in Texas and let Heather get some closure.
And I'm just going to tell you right now, Kenny has some great lines in this movie.
I don't mind driving to Texas. I hear they got great barbecue. What is going on in here? Wow. Yo! Oh, wow. He played that smooth.
Yeah,
To happiness.
to the queen.
Yeah.
He also looks like a Backstreet Boy, too.
Okay, that's funny you said that because I was trying to, okay, let me just talk about the friend group. They don't look like a friend group.
It'll probably describe for our listeners what this group looks like.
Okay, so we have Ryan, who's like an athlete who has tattoos. He's kind of like dead inside, not a ton of personality.
His body type honestly would be like a wide receiver. He's like thin but fit.
Yeah, he seems more, like an athletic type. That's like his personality.
You're right. No, there's not much personality. And again, he's not really an actor in real life. And I think that's probably why you don't get a personality from him.
Okay. Then we have Heather, who is like goth-ish, but she's kind of like, I would say she's the more like wholesome out of the bunch.
Yeah, she seems to have her head on straight.
Right. Then you have her friend, Nikki, Nikki's just kind of a skinky girl.
Yeah, Nikki gets around.
She gets around. She's kind of abrasive, loud,
Obnoxious,
and comes off more of like the bougie girl.
Yeah.
And then you have Kenny, who's like a Backstreet Boy.
He looks like a Backstreet Boy, and
He kind of talks like one.
He talks like one, and he honestly is an idiot.
Yeah.
He's a complete idiot.
So it's like this friend group it's very strange. Like I don't believe any of them are really friends.
You're right. They don't seem to fit each other at all.
And actually, as the movie goes on, they don't even really hang out together that much. So we'll get into that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
These people weren't friends.
No. So the kids hit the road, and like any good TCM movie, they stop off at a gas station.
Gotta stop at the gas station.
Yeah. This gas station, it's like pouring rain. It's bad weather out here.
Right.
They get some food, go back to the car, get in, get ready to take off for the trip. But instead of just like leaving, they truck a hitchhiker.
Yeah, they hit a guy, and we're going to find out that wasn't an accident.
Yeah, well, again, TCM, you got to have a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
And I will say, actually, out of all the hitchhikers, this might be one of the more mellow ones.
Yeah, it just seems like a chill dude just hanging out.
Well, so for a stick of that jerky.
Just happened to get hit by a car.
This dude is wearing like a button up, but he has like 4 buttons down, and it's pouring rain to the point where you can like see his like belly button. So I'd be a little hesitant on this guy.
I mean, I think you should be for your first interaction. He seems nice, but you can tell there's something up with him.
Yeah, and his name's Daryl. Okay, so Daryl convinces them like to take him on this trip. I mean, not only they just run him over, he's kind of like needs to travel that way too. And he'll help pay.
And I'm just going to say it. He clearly threw himself onto the car.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that wasn't an accident.
No. It was a setup. We also learn that all these kids are thieves.
Go on.
Because Heather explains that she took Ryan's credit card and bought the food with it. Ryan then explains that he took Kenny's credit card and bought the gas with it.
You know, it's one of those things that sounds funny, but how would they even get a hold of each other's credit cards?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
These
stupid.
guys are still like in each other's wallets and stuff, not friends.
Hey, in a horror movie, man, you make mistakes like stealing, dead.
Everything when I watch these movies, I'm just like, okay, they're marking him for death, you know?
Well, in TCM, it's pretty much like who on earth is even going to survive, right? If anyone.
That is true. So they arrive in the small town of Newt, Texas, and this is where we see the iconic armadillo in the road. I love the throwbacks.
I was hoping to have a little earring on it, a little tag like in TCM
From
3.
Tinker.
Yeah.
Yep. So Nikki, this is where again we see a little of her personality because she needs to change as they arrive. She just strips down to her bra, like no big deal in front of all these guys and a hitchhiker.
No shame in her game.
No, she wants to flaunt.
Yeah.
So they reach Heather's grandmother's house and we see the first signs of the family house. Well, really what we see is a giant imposing gate and we're greeted by Mr. Farnsworth.
I love that name too.
So do I.
It's such a movie name.
Old Farnsworth, the old family lawyer. So he informs Heather the house was left to her by her grandma Verna, and he hands her a letter and he emphasizes, hey, this is a very important letter. You need to read this.
Oh, I almost forgot. It's from Verna. Make sure you read it.
Okay, he emphasizes it, but we're going to find out clearly did not emphasize it enough because that letter was very important. Like life or death important.
Like there's something in that letter you really need to know before you go into that house.
And he knew she needed to know. Did he tell her? No. Loose emphasization.
Yes. We'll just tell you in the letter. It'll come up at the end, but it just explains like Leatherface is in the house.
It explains there's a killer in the house, so be aware.
Yeah, like you may need to approach cautiously.
Maybe say hi, introduce yourself.
Yeah. So they arrive at this mansion, and I will just say this is like a beautiful home, the most beautiful family home we've seen.
Oh, dude, it's a giant. It's on a huge amount of property. It's isolated. Yeah, and it's a beautiful house.
There's like these big like formal dining rooms. There's like a gaming room with like a big pool table. It smells of mahogany.
Dude, I love the kids come in there. Oh, man. Well, first of all, Heather's not excited enough because this girl just came into a lot of money.
Oh, dude.
But that's whatever. But they go to the house and they're exploring. They hit one room, then go to the pool room, and then they just start having a pool party, like billiards pool.
Yep. And actually, I'm glad you said that because that brings me to some dialogue between Nikki and Ryan.
Yeah.
So we see that there's something going on between these two. And it's slowly like sticking its little head out, you know?
Yeah, we see Nikki has some questionable morals, and Trey just doesn't really care. Trey, that's his That's his real name. What's his name? Ryan. Ryan doesn't seem to really care about much.
Yeah, let me give you some dialogue. So Ryan's at the pool table.
Who wanna play?
I do. Got money, bitch?
Okay, I'm a bitch now.
Yeah, you're my bitch.
Okay, rack 'em up.
What'd you say about my rack?
And then Ryan gives her a little tap on the butt with a pool stick.
Bad sign.
These two just mark themselves for death.
I mean, they are showing us there's a connection here. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention, there was a booty short shot.
Oh yeah, they had the classic like camera low angle.
Of course, it's on Nikki. We knew that, but I had to shout it out.
Great shot. Obviously, Darren liked that shot a lot.
There's actually multiple.
Enough to bring it back. So at this point, Heather kind of takes off from the group and goes exploring outside. She meanders her way over to the graveyard. I said that because Darren doesn't like the word meander.
It's not that I don't like it. I think it's an interesting word. It gives you character. I'm not saying that. Don't change it. Don't change it.
So in this graveyard, there's a ton of Sawyer headstones. So it's obviously where all the dudes who got offed in the beginning are now buried.
It's a large graveyard for a house.
Yeah, but there's also Carsons. Like, I don't know if I never really fully understood the Carson thing. I'm sure you guys will tell us in the comments, but like it seemed like the family switched from Sawyer's to Carson, but I don't remember seeing a lot of Carsons.
I honestly don't know where the name Carson came from, other than that they've referenced it, but I'm sure it's somewhere in the lore. I don't know.
Yeah, so she discovers a headstone of who is actually her mother, Loretta Sissy Sawyer.
I mean, can we say if you play the video game, I wonder if that's where they got the name Sissy?
I mean, it has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be Sissy. All right, so at this point, everybody's getting a little bit hungry. They decide they need to go to the store and shop, and Kenny decides he wants to cook a meal for everyone.
And y'all have to let me cook for you tonight.
But not everyone wants to go on this shopping trip. Daryl decides, you know what? I want to stay at the house.
Come on.
No, I'm overkilling this mission. I'm gonna get the bags, clean up a little.
And for some reason, Heather is cool with that.
Daryl's the hitchhiker. What was his reasoning? I think he said he was going to clean up or something. And they give him the keys, and it's like, dude, you don't know this dude at all. Why would you ever trust him in a giant mansion?
Yeah, this house that you don't even know what's really in it, all these valuables and stuff, and you just leave this random dude
That
there.
would never happen, but that's what happens.
Yeah, and by the way, I gotta say, Kenny sounds like he's got a mouthful of marbles. I had to turn on subtitles to see what he said.
He like almost whispers.
He whispers, and he's got like almost like a Louisiana Southern like Bayou accent, you know?
I told you, his dialogue is not great.
Yeah. So as soon as the van drives off, we see what Kenny's really up to, because he starts by kicking in the front door.
Not Kenny.
You're right. We see what Daryl's up to, because he kicks in the front door and then just goes around, and he's really big on like silverware.
Yeah, like he finds the most unvaluable stuff, just grabs a bunch of silverware. Also, kind of a bad guy. He's like, oh, these idiots! I can't believe they fell for this.
Well, of course. I mean, he's robbing the place, he's ransacking, and I don't know. Are you a silverware expert?
No, but like how much?
It looked like high-end dining stuff. I have no idea, though.
But I would imagine there's more valuable. Like if it was me, I'd go look in bedrooms. I wouldn't be looking at silverware.
I'd be looking for like jewelry. Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so during his ransacking, he stumbles upon a hidden door that like leads to the pantry, and then he has that giant set of keys. And we should say there's a key ring that Farnsworth gave Heather. And there is one gigantic key. It's like huge.
It's the final boss key.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he has to use that to unlock a door, and he makes his way down into the basement, where he finds like a plate of food outside of this door.
The door happens to be metal.
Yes.
Anyone know what that might be?
Yeah. And Kenny won't give up on, like, he wants to get inside this door, even though like the plate of food should worry you a little bit.
Yeah, you see a plate of food by a door, you're like, okay, honestly, your first thought would be like, okay, maybe there's an animal behind the door. Maybe I shouldn't just open this gigantic metal door.
Yeah, but Kenny doesn't make great decisions. So he explores, he finds like some silverware in a box. Again, he loves silverware. And that's when we see our first glimpse of the old Leatherface.
This dude's a vet, man. Mel pattern baldness is going on. Yeah. Even Leatherface got hit by that.
So he comes out with a hammer, and man, he gives Daryl a brutal hit across the face with a hammer, and you see like teeth fly out.
Oh,
and then he beats him to death.
Yep, Daryl's gone. Deserved it. See ya.
Yeah. So what I'll say, it's an old man Leatherface, but this guy hasn't lost a step.
No, in fact, I think he's gotten better as time has gone on. We're gonna see. I think he's got like techniques, and he's very smart and thought out in this one. I'm not even kidding. I think he's a really good killer.
I actually like this Leatherface.
Me too. I like everything about this Leatherface.
Oh,
I think this might be my favorite Leatherface as far as a human.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with that. Back with Nikki, Ryan, and Kenny, they arrive into the town, and they're going to do some grocery shopping. They decide they're going to kind of split up and shop it up. Kenny's calling the shots because he's the cook, right?
Right.
So Nikki and Ryan are in the grocery store. Ryan's in like the refrigerator section, and we have a great scene right here. So Nikki sneaks up on him, reaches over, grabs his crotch, and says, "Wow, price check."
I mean, it's a good move.
Yeah, it's a bold move.
But here's what's so crazy. Again, she's on a trip with her friend. Her friend just found out some like pretty big information. She's adopted. She's got this house. Her friend's nice enough to, Heather's nice enough to bring her on the trip, and she's going after her guy the whole time.
Do they even seem like friends?
No, Nikki sucks.
Well, yeah, but I don't, like I said, none of these people seem to interact like friends. There's no real like good talk that like bonds you together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just bad acting, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So we learned that Ryan and Nikki had a drunk hookup in the past. So, and obviously Nikki's looking for more. Ryan seems like he's kind of over it, but
Ryan's trying to get her away, but I think he still might want a little bit.
Yeah. Outside the store, Heather meets the local cop, Carl, and Carl knows charcoal.
Dude, Carl's charcoal talk is top tier, like pickup line.
You're asking for trouble. I wouldn't burn if you doused it with a fuel tanker. This here will give you some good flavor, but if you want to unleash some hellfire, This here's the stuff.
Good to know.
Yeah.
You see that charcoal? That's not good, man. Like, I was laughing. I was like, dude, he's really pulling it off. Do you know who that is?
No.
It's Scott Eastwood, Clint's son.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
I saw his face. I'm like, I've seen that guy before. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways,
no
there you go.
idea. So outside, they're talking about charcoal. Then Bert Hartman arrives. Now, if you remember, Bert is the vigilante leader from the start of the movie.
Mhm.
He has now become the mayor of the town. And he basically sends Carl on his way.
But
and
we
he's gonna-
see Carl and him have a relationship. He's
and-
like, oh, is this guy bothering you or something? You could tell there's a relationship there. Note that.
Yeah, noted.
Note it.
So this is where you also see Bert's personality because he just offers to take Heather's house for free.
For free.
Yeah, he's just like, I'll take that off your hands. Like, you don't want to deal with that house.
I thought he was
Like-
wanting a price. It doesn't matter. You're
he
right.
did afterwards. He started trying to haggle as she walked away.
He's abrasive.
Yeah, he's a bad person, is what he is.
Yeah.
So the kids return back to the house only to find it trashed with Daryl missing.
Wow, he played that smooth.
Do they look for Daryl? Not really. They just assume he's gone.
I'm telling you, this is a brand new house. They do very little looking around.
Yeah. So here they all kind of split off again. Heather notices the keys are gone. She's kind of uneasy. She starts kind of just exploring the house a little bit. Meanwhile, the rest of the group, they're just there to party.
Yeah, and it's kind of nighttime now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's transition to
So
night.
there you got Kenny cooking, you got Nikki outside smoking weed, Trey, what Ryan's
Eric.
Yeah.
I said I was going to say Ryan.
It's Eric?
Is it Ryan? And
It's
I put
Ryan,
Eric?
you idiot. Ryan's playing pool or something, right?
Yeah.
So they're just hanging out at this point.
But again, they're not hanging out together. That's what I'm saying. Like this movie, they're like all doing their own thing.
I mean, you're completely right. I didn't notice it till you said there really doesn't seem to be friendship anywhere at all.
No.
I mean, honestly, I feel like Kenny doesn't fit in the group at all.
Kenny is a totally different person. Yeah, he's living his own movie. You know?
Yeah.
So Heather's continues her exploring. She finds like all the photographs on the walls, and she notices a strange emblem, the Sawyer family emblem.
So yeah, then we find out that Heather's got a matching emblem on her. Does it really look alike though? Because I mean, honestly, when I was watching, I thought it kind of did not look like that symbol, but maybe I'm wrong.
I didn't see it either. I kind of look because the Sawyer's just like an S,
yeah,
but her thing didn't really look exactly like.
it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, I can kind of see how you might think it looks like that, but it probably isn't. But apparently it was.
Yeah. So Heather continues her exploring, and she makes a horrific discovery. Verna, her grandmother, is no longer in the grave. She is now mummified, sitting like next to the bed.
She's just chilling up there, and I think Leatherface took her, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to understand?
Yeah, Leatherface wanted her back in the house.
He's a simple guy. He doesn't understand death.
Yeah,
Sweet man.
confused.
Sweet boy.
Meanwhile, Kenny's cooking up a feast, but he notices a strange wall that doesn't seem to fit. Gives a little push, finds out a hidden butler's pantry. He explores around a little more. Not only is there a pantry, there's a staircase leading to a nice dark basement.
And I know this is good for the movie, but if that was me, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to tell people that there's this freaking hidden room, and I'm for sure not going down to any basement by myself. And that's just a general rule in life.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But curiosity takes over and he just heads down. He finds Daryl's bag of like stolen goods on the ground, calls for Daryl, no answer.
Daryl? Yo, Daryl!
He sees a nice dark room, which we'll again learn is Leatherface's lair. It's like a pitch black tunnel, right?
Did he see blood at this point or no?
Oh yeah, he did. He saw some blood on the ground.
Again,
too.
guys, blood on the ground. Do you keep walking towards that or away?
Away.
Yes.
Is the answer.
But that's not good for the movie. So Kenny walks forward, which I appreciate. Kenny needs to go.
Yeah. We were over Kenny at this point. So out of nowhere, there's black darkness. Leatherface explodes out. I gotta be honest, it scared the crap out of me.
Scared me too, yeah.
Yeah, it scared me pretty good. Kenny takes off, runs up the stairs, only to be hooked in the back and dragged down to the basement.
So now at this point, yeah, is Kenny dead at this point? No, he's not dead yet.
Kenny isn't dead
But
yet.
we've seen two different ways that Leatherface has now got people. He's got what was the first one, a hammer?
Hammer.
And then now we have the hooks.
Yep.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Eric's living his best life, playing some pool when he's interrupted by Nikki, who's giving a performance.
There is no Eric, you idiot. It's Ryan.
Dude, then I'm going from like the past movies in my head, you know?
Yeah.
So Ryan's playing pool. Nikki interrupts him, saying there's something urgent that he has to see, and she's like freaking out.
Yeah, so they make it seem like in the movie, like she found Kenny's body or something, right? You think something really bad's happened.
Yeah, exactly. So she takes him to the stable, only to...
So she takes him outside into this giant stable.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I
Yeah.
guess there's not a stable in the house.
No.
So she takes him outside to the stable, only to reveal this is all a setup. There, she's got a couple shot glasses, a bottle of whiskey, and she proceeds to just get naked.
And that's, what can Ryan do? She's got the tattoo at her waistline. Presumably Ryan, for sure Ryan and Nikki hook up at that point.
Yeah, we'll learn later they did. But the one thing I know for sure about this scene, they're both marked for death.
Yeah, dude, that kind of behavior does not stand in any horror movie, especially not in a Texas Chainsaw movie.
No, I mean,
honestly, blatant disrespect.
So back with Heather, terrified, she finds, she just found her grandma's mummified body upstairs,
Right.
runs down, finds herself in the kitchen where she sees Leatherface doing some work.
I actually thought this part was really good because it was just, I wasn't expecting to see Leatherface at this moment. And he was just like calmly just cutting away at the sink.
Yeah, so he has a hand and he's just cutting the fingers off into a bowl.
I mean, honestly, the chilling part is just, he's just like, it was no big deal to him, just like chopping fingers.
Yeah, no, it's just another day.
So that shocks Heather.
Yeah. So she tries to escape, but another Leatherface knocks her down. She hits her head on the table and she goes for a little bit of a nap.
The one thing that is confusing too, I'm just going to say this. We learn later Leatherface is aware that Heather exists, but I guess at this point he doesn't think that might be her.
Yeah, it's hard to get into the mind of Leatherface. You know what I mean?
And I will say this. So far the killings been justified. They're in his house. The first guy was actually a thief and Kenny's an idiot, so.
Yeah, he's, again, Leatherface's MO. He just protects his house.
Yeah,
he wants to be left alone.
Yeah, simple.
This is back to the original Leatherface, not just a straight up murderer like we've seen in other movies.
The 2003 in the beginning, he was a murderer.
Yeah. So Heather wakes up and she finds herself in Leatherface's lair. And I gotta be honest, it's like gruesome down here. Like,
it was pretty cool. It is, but I mean, it's bloody.
Yeah, Daryl's laying on the table. He gets his legs cut off by Leatherface. Kenny is still alive. He's laying on the table face down with a hook in his back. Leatherface pulls the hook off only to stick him on another hook.
The iconic drop hook. Lifts him up, drops him down.
Although I do feel like there were some weird camera angles where he kind of just like pushed him forward on it.
Yeah, you can't slow it down because I've done this a lot. I've edited a lot of these videos. It doesn't look as cool when you slow it down.
I know.
Like with the last video when I forget that whatever the guy's name, the annoying guy got chainsawed up in the air and then tossed.
Uh-huh.
I slowed it down. You can see the chainsaw's clearly not in him. It's to his side, and he kind of pushes him with the chainsaw.
Oh, well, don't tell us that. Come on, man. So Kenny decides he's going to grab Leatherface's mask. I mean, he's on this hook. It's his last-ditch effort, which is never a good thing to do. I mean, you don't have too many options, but this pissed Leatherface off.
He didn't know better, but I do love this execution.
Yes, Leatherface takes the saw, and they show this. They show a lot of this. He cuts him straight in half, right above his hip. It's kind of a long kill.
Yeah, it was brutal. You know what I liked about it is you saw Leatherface got pissed off. He's like, I can't believe you touched my face. All right, you're getting it bad now.
Yeah. So Kenny officially gone. Daryl officially gone. Heather manages to just escape. She kind of just runs out of the...
Okay, let me just say this. She was actually put in the lair. She wasn't bound or tied or anything. She's just laying there, and then she just gets up and runs away.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. He didn't secure her in any way.
No.
So,
yeah, she maybe, it's Leatherface. He thought she was dead or something. I don't know. She runs out, makes her way to the graveyard, and decides she's got to hide. Well, what does she find? Verna's dug up gravesite. So she goes into Verna's coffin. And this is where we see one of our first 3D scenes where Leatherface buries the saw in the coffin. And you see the blade coming at you.
I know, I like that. I mean, the 3D scenes are so corny because it's so staged. You just know what it's there for. But I did like that scene. It was, imagine being in a coffin with a freaking saw coming through, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I will say too, before that, I did like the scene where he shut his saw off and he's just listening. I thought that was eerie.
Yeah.
Like I said, this guy's a vet. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, this ain't his first time.
Nah, he's killed many people.
So Nikki and Ryan, who are playing around in the barn, hear the saw start up. They come barreling out, and they're in various states of undress.
Yeah, half dressed. Like, who's that? Who's that guy with the saw? Which thing gets Leatherface's attention?
Yeah, they actually kind of just yell at him
Yeah.
to distract, although they have no clue what he's really doing. Like, they don't know that he's trying to kill Heather in a casket, but they yell, and then they go in the barn, barricade the door, and then they get ready for war. They start arming up.
Yeah, they find a shot. Nikki finds a shotgun, right?
Nikki finds a shotgun.
Leatherface is trying to break through the barn door. Obviously, it's a wood door. He's got a saw. That's like the perfect scenario for him.
Yes, and Nikki has what is her shining moment, in this movie, where she says,
Welcome to Texas, mother.
and shoots Leatherface through the door.
Again, she can't even see him through the door. She just takes a blind shot with her most important weapon. She doesn't have any more ammo either. And guess what? She didn't hit him.
Well, that's the shooting part's not what I loved. It's that she told him, "Welcome to Texas." Nikki just got to Texas, isn't from Texas. Leatherface has born and raised in Texas.
Oh my God, that's a great point.
Yeah.
You're right.
But
She's not from Texas.
Yeah, she has the balls to say, "Welcome to Texas, mother effer."
She deserves her death.
Yeah, like,
that's hilarious. I didn't even catch that.
that's a crazy line to say. Now they start hearing an engine coming, a rumble towards the barn.
So she takes a shot, and we don't know what happened to Leatherface. We don't know what's going on, but we hear a vehicle coming now.
Yes. So they back away from the door, only to see it explode as Heather comes through with the van.
Right, just get in. We got to go quick. Obviously, Leatherface could be right there.
Yeah, and this is where they have a seat swap where Ryan decides he wants to drive.
Nailed it. I'm like, why did they switch? Because Heather comes through. Again, there's some of the chainsaw. Why would you then change seats? I don't know, but they do. And Ryan's now driving.
Which we'll learn is a very bad decision.
Ryan makes a series of bad decisions.
Yes,
here.
and let's start with the first one. So he goes barreling, like they take off, Leatherface gets a swing and whatever, he hits the car but doesn't do anything. They come up on the gates. Now this is a huge like iron gate, right?
Again, and the property's big. So from where they go from the barn to the gate, there's been some distance covered. So they have time. They've gotten away from Leatherface at this point.
Yeah, this is one of the gates you have to pull up, stop. It has sensors, it'll open, right?
Yeah.
Ryan doesn't want to wait at all for it. He decides he's just going to drive straight into it.
And like Dan said, this gate is fortified.
Yeah. Basically hits the gate and it like sways a little bit and the car just stops. Now the car, of course, won't start and Leatherface is barreling down on him.
They're in trouble.
They finally get the car to start. They go into reverse and wait for it to open. As soon as it does, of course, the car won't start again. Like, this is a common theme. Won't start again. Leatherface getting closer. They start it up and then they take off. Leatherface gets a swing in, but what happens next is very confusing. So the car, like, I would say glances off the gate, like it kind of scrapes the side of it.
Dude, that's so funny you say this too, because I was confused on what happened, because it looked to me, yeah, like they hit maybe the side, not even the gate part, but you know, the structure of the bricks that hold the gate or something. It's almost like they just clipped the side. Like it seemed as if just the rearview mirror hit it.
Yeah, or like a side mirror,
Yeah,
not a
but
rear view mirror because that's inside the car.
You're right.
but-
That'd be a that'd be a big problem.
Yeah.
You're right. The side mirror hits it, and then their car kind of turns sideways, like it just totally jacked up the car.
Yeah, it turns sideways and just stops.
It didn't make sense.
No, but this next part doesn't either. So Leatherface shows up. He makes it to the car, doesn't even go for the kill. He wants to take out the car. This is where he's...
I told you, the dude's a vet. He's like, hey, the best way to stop these guys, stop the car.
Yeah, so he chainsaws the tire, the front left tire. They start the car up again. They take off down the road only to make it 50 yards. And the car totally just flips over.
Well, we all know when you lose a tire, the car's going to flip. You're right. That didn't make any sense at all. So at this point, Ryan just totally effed the whole thing up. All that whole thing, they could have got away if it wasn't for Ryan.
Well, speaking of Ryan, Ryan now has turned into the fountain of death.
Yeah, Ryan's dead, which I thought was... that. If I'm going to knock this movie, that honestly is my biggest problem. They let him just die to a car accident.
Well, yeah, and he's laying there and there's just blood spurting out of his neck.
Yeah, it's like, come on. That guy deserved a Leatherface chainsaw. If anyone deserved it, he did.
Yeah, I mean, he was cheating on Heather with Nikki at her grandma's house. Like, come on.
Yeah. So Ryan's gone.
Ryan's gone. The car is now upside down. And I will say it's a very roomy car. Like, they're able to stand nearly like up in this thing as it's upside down. You know?
You're right. It is
normally
rather large.
you would be like laying down. Like, there's no way.
These are smaller actors, though. We're not small people.
It doesn't matter. The car
It matters a little bit.
So Leatherface starts attacking the car. Eventually swinging inside, clipping Nikki's leg. Then he does which I think is kind of a baller move. He flips it up onto its side.
Dude, the dude pushed the car over. Again, showing you the strength this dude has. Even his old age. You know, that's the last thing to leave is strength. He's still got it.
Thank you for that. So the car gets flipped onto its side. Nikki's laying on the ground. Leatherface is going in for a chainsaw kill. Heather has snuck out now. She distracts Leatherface, gets his attention, and takes off through the woods. Leatherface leaves Nikki in the car, goes for the chase.
And I just want to say, Nikki did get clipped in the leg, but she's very still like with it. She's not like near death or anything, right?
No, she's alive.
Yeah. Just want to make that point clear. So Leatherface leaves and chases Heather.
Yeah.
Nikki's on her own.
Okay, now I don't think I mentioned this earlier. There's a carnival going on in town.
Well, here's probably why I didn't mention it, because I heard it mentioned. I don't feel like we really even saw it till now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the cops earlier mentioned it, but it's not a big deal. So Heather runs through the woods. Leatherface is chasing her. She finds a fence, jumps over the top of it, runs into the carnival. Leatherface, of course, cuts through it, is chasing after. Now we get the chainsaw chase through the carnival.
And there's people everywhere. Like, this is like prime time carnival. And I think arguably my favorite part of the movie, although it's very small, there was a little bit of a chainsaw battle.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad you said that. And there's more to this because I looked into this, because I was like, what is the scene? So as he's running through, this character in the carnival comes out with a pig mask and a tiny chainsaw, and they have like a little standoff for a second.
Right. Like Leatherface was thinking about making a move, but then he passed. And wait, one more thing. I think the vibe of the carnival obviously had some like Halloween. It must have been like near Halloween time.
Yeah, well, because they're going on a trip to New Orleans for Halloween.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't even know that.
Do you know what the character in the pig mask said to Leatherface?
No.
Hey, want to play a game?
Oh, like from Saw?
This is a reference to Saw 2.
Oh.
I never saw Saw 2, but apparently this character was in it.
I mean, it rings a bell. I've watched it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I put
That's
subtitles
hilarious.
on. It says, "Hey, we want to play a game."
I just thought the scene was really funny because Leatherface is like, he squares up with him for a second, and then he's like, okay, forget it, and moves on.
Yeah, I did like that scene. So Heather ends up running to the Ferris wheel where she pulls off a cliffhanger move, hangs on to the side of one of these carts, and does a full rotation. That's impressive.
I mean, that's some strength. Again, you know, with these type of movies, you question, like, why not just jump in one of them? But she's a cliffhanger, like you said, hanging from the whole thing. I liked how Leatherface is like, okay, you're going to do that? He goes to the other side and he's waiting for it to come around with his chainsaw.
So at this point, Carl arrives. He's the cop from earlier, and he saves the day, pulls a gun on Leatherface. We have another 3D scene where Leatherface just chucks the saw at Carl.
Down! I actually thought that scene was cool. It looked neat too, but it looked like there's some power behind that chuck as well.
Yeah, and so he takes off. And now Carl goes to Heather and saves her from the monster. So Heather gets taken back to the sheriff's station where we see Sheriff Hooper. Now he's trying to figure out what exactly just went down at this carnival.
And Heather's explaining, like, you know, everything that had happened. Her friend's stuck in a car, and Leatherface just tried to kill her.
Yeah. Well, on your note, Heather delivers to me one of like the most emotionless lines I've heard in a movie, where she says, "He killed my friends, but Nikki was still alive."
Okay, I'm gonna play it for you guys. Tell me if this person sounds like she really cared that her friends are dead.
He killed my friends, but Nikki, she was still alive after the crash.
Yeah, to me, she delivered the line as if like you're on a diet and you say like, "Well, I ate pizza, but I did work out like 2 hours ago." You know what I mean? Like, it's
comparison. But you're right. It like did not matter. She's like, everyone's dead. Okay. And then, yeah, even her friend, she doesn't really seem to care about that much.
Well, it's like everyone's dead, but, Nikki's alive.
Yeah. We got one, maybe. I don't know.
So throughout all this talk, Sheriff Hooper ends up like figuring out that Leatherface must be alive because they all thought he died in the fire.
Right.
Because they put it together. He's at the Carson house, used to be the Sawyers. We also learn that Leatherface is 6'5" in this movie.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah,
he doesn't look 6'5", but okay.
They mention it. I just want to say, because I feel like his height's always kind of changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Hooper tells Carl, like, hey, get out of here, go do your own thing. You don't need to be involved in this. You can tell there's more going on to this whole thing, right?
Right. Like and we obviously know, being the watchers of the movie, that there's some history with this Sawyer junk in Leatherface.
Well, and speaking of history, old Bert, the mayor, arrives.
Some crazy just tore up the carnival. I need to know what the police are going to do about it.
My office.
Now, he is pissed off about this carnival incident.
Well, here, you missed an important part. I think you missed, at least, where Carl, for no reason, brings in a box of evidence.
I also pulled the big file on the Sawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Drops it on the table next to Heather. And then, again, no one asked for this. And then he ends up leaving, and they leave Heather with evidence, which gives her the whole history of the Sawyers, and she's going to learn what happened to her family.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
But yeah, he dropped off the evidence for sure.
That no one asked for.
It's Verna, and it's like Verna's history and like the incident history that happened at the Sawyer house.
And you might want to know, how do you know it's evidence? Because it said on the box.
Yeah. So now we have the mayor, Bert, here. Again, he's pissed off about the carnival coming in hot. And Hooper informs Bert that Jed Leatherface is alive, which the mayor just doesn't believe because he thinks they all died.
Right.
So again, while Heather's left alone, she peers through these files. She learns everything about the original massacre that happened. She learns that the Sheriff Hooper was involved in that incident, but he actually told the true story in his report. Like the newspapers reported like kind of the negative side of what happened. Like they're more on the vigilante side, I should say. But Hooper wrote the truth down in his report.
Heather's going 100% Sawyer now. She's diving into this family. Like you feel like as if she never belonged, and now she knows, like, this is who she is. This is who she's always been.
Yeah.
She's a Sawyer.
She is. And her personality turns into Sawyer as we keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she learns her mother died in the fire or died at the scene. Her parents.
Front kick.
Yeah, the front kick. She doesn't know about the front kick, but her adopted parents were on the scene of the massacre. And that Leatherface, she ends up learning Leatherface is her cousin, Jedediah Sawyer.
Old Jed.
So from learning this, you can kind of see she's starting to see Leatherface not as a monster, but it's more of like the town's cruelty on him.
Yeah, it's really funny. She dismisses like her family killing everyone, and totally takes the side that her family's victims in this scenario, which they were with the shooting and the killing thing, but they were cannibals. They killed a few people, right?
Yeah.
Minimum a few.
Well, I mean, in Leatherface, she's already seen he's murdered her friends.
Yeah, and I don't want to come off like I'm judging this because I actually like this whole thing, and I like what happens here.
I mean, it is crazy though. Like, could you imagine this dude just killed your friends and now you're kind of like siding with him?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he did just murder. I totally forgot. He did just murder her friends too. And she thinks he's a good guy.
Yeah, just misunderstood, you know? So meanwhile, Officer Marvin arrives back at the accident scene.
Blood trail on the pavement. Sheriff, no disrespect, but I think I need to move on this.
So nobody's there anymore. Nikki's gone. But
so we're talking about the scene where the car crashed because Nikki was supposed to be there. Officer Marvin we meet is a new guy who's got some personality. I like this officer.
Yeah, he's something.
I mean, he's an idiot, but he's kind of a funny personality.
Yeah, so he sees this blood trail and he decides he's going to follow it. It follows it all the way back to the Carson house. Then it gets kind of weird because he goes on FaceTime with the sheriff while he like clears the house.
Well, yeah, and so what's going on is Sheriff Hooper is saying, hey, don't go in there, wait for backup. The mayor's like, hey, no, get it done. We need to kill Leatherface. Again, I don't know why he's so insistent, but he hates him.
Yeah, he hates the Sawyers.
He's irrational and angry. Like, he operates off of anger, the mayor does, right? So, yeah, so this cop's going solo, and he's got his clip. What does he say? He has a great line about the gun.
You got your eagle?
You know what extended clip? Just looking for a reason, sir.
So Marvin now is inside the house. He's clearing it, following this blood trail. Leads him to that secret butler's pantry.
Right.
And then he sees that staircase going down into darkness.
Yeah, and Marvin was pretty like confident in this scenario. He's got his gun, but at this point, you see he starts to think this might not be a great idea. But the mayor is very insistent. You got to move on.
Yeah, mayor sends him down, so he goes down into Leatherface's lair here.
Again, this whole time they're broadcasting this from his phone too.
Yeah, they're FaceTiming.
Yeah.
By the way, there's like a little trivia with that too. Apparently, if you look close, it's clearly not on FaceTime. It's like on like a camera shot.
Yeah, I was gonna look at the phone, but I'm like, I don't want to be that nitpicky with the movie.
Yeah. So he goes down, he finds Leatherface's dress, like, because Leatherface has all his dresses and his little get-ups.
Dresses, high heels, bones, ladies' makeup. What a fruitcake.
He finds the slaughter room, but he hears something in the freezer.
Oh yeah, this is great.
This is great. Yeah, honestly, this is one of the funniest, like, best moments of the movie. So he's very like nervous about this whole thing. Goes over to the freezer, opens it up, only to have Nikki pop out like a vampire awakened, you know?
And flailing her hands.
It was the scene from the first Texas Chainsaw.
Right.
Yeah. So what does Marvin do? He immediately flinches, pops one in her dome.
Nikki dead.
Shoots her right in the head.
Oh, I thought that was great because they did build it up, and Marvin's getting scared. And yeah, when that thing opened, he just shot, and
dude, the funniest thing is Hooper's reaction. You have to watch it. It's funny because he's like, it was like almost like when you see it happen, you're like, oh God,
like, oh man, you shouldn't have done that. And the mayor's just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll clean it up. Move on.
The mayor's immediately, his line is, that didn't happen. Immediately, that didn't happen.
So it shows you who this guy is. By the way, I'll go back to this. So Nikki was in the car. Her leg got nicked by the saw. She could have left. I don't know how she got captured, nor do we ever find out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I guess Leatherface just found her and then just sawed her and then drug her. I don't know.
Well, she was alive in the freezer until she got shot in the head.
You know what the blood was? The blood was Ryan. Because he had to drag Ryan out of there and Nikki.
Okay. So at this point, the phone call fails. Marvin's like seen enough. He's ready to get out of the basement.
I did like that. Just all of a sudden, bad service now.
Yeah, it lost all service after shooting someone in the head. And so he goes upstairs only to find Leatherface with a hatchet. And Marvin is struck down and murdered.
Well, done.
So after killing Marvin, he decides he's going to make a new mask. And we see him take Marvin's face off and create his new persona.
The funny part about this is he takes Marvin's face off and then puts it on, and it clearly does not look anything like that face. But I will say the part I did like is we see that he has a new technique now where he actually sews it into his face.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it goes through, which I thought was kind of a neat little touch there.
Yeah, secured a little better than
instead of the backstrap.
Yeah,
he usually does a backstrap.
So now Hooper and the mayor end up having a little confrontation where Hooper calls out the sheriff. Hooper calls out the mayor for what happened during the massacre. Bert kind of is flipping out. He wants to see where Heather is and confront her, I guess. When he goes into the room, Heather is gone.
And what he does find is a picture from that scene where they killed Heather's family, the Sawyers, and Heather has written murderers on it.
She's full Sawyer.
So she's taken aside, and Bert doesn't like that.
No. So Heather, we learn, has called Farnsworth and wants to meet up at the local bar to discuss what is going on.
Farnsworth was the lawyer.
Farnsworth explains to her that in the letter explained Jed is her cousin, and Jed knows about Heather, but just doesn't really know her, obviously.
And Heather's confronting Farnsworth, like, how didn't you tell me this earlier? And he said, well, there was a letter. I told you to read it. It's like,
why didn't you warn me? All my friends are dead.
Did you read Verna's letter?
No.
I asked you to, right?
Bro, you had to tell her there's a killer in the house, right?
I mean, really, he should have just said it.
Yeah, you don't have to read in the letter. Hey, I'll just whisper it to you. There's a murder in your house. So he knows of you. He'll be cool, but just so you know, that's what's in there. Instead, he let everyone die, and they're just like, oh, I told you there's a letter.
Should have read it.
Don't care, though. Still enjoyed it.
Yeah. But their conversation gets interrupted because Bert arrives at the bar, throws Farnsworth down. Heather escapes, but she gets hit by a car who's driven by Ollie, one of the sheriff's boys.
Yeah, Bert has like a main henchman, and that man's Ollie. A nice little dim-witted countryman.
Yeah. So Heather starts attacking Ollie, slices him with a knife, and then runs off where Carl the cop saves her.
And she's got this relationship with Carl a little bit. She kind of likes him. You can tell there's a little relationship here.
Yeah, you also see her going Sawyer. I mean, she's slashing people's faces with knives.
Oh no, she's made as soon as I saw the murderer on the picture, she's made the transformation. She's Sawyer now.
Yeah. So soon after entering the car, Heather realizes something ain't right here. Carl is working with Bert the mayor, and Bert is his father.
She's headed towards town.
Yeah, I got her. What do you want me to do with her?
Take her up to the slaughterhouse and hold her.
Okay, you got it, Dad.
And this is where, again, we see she's a Sawyer because she says, "You're a Hartman, right?" And she says, "Well, I'm a Sawyer," and stabs the glass.
Yeah, I like that part because you see a little crazy. It's like all of a sudden she's just like full Sawyer. She's ready to kill everyone. But she is under control, though. This is justifiable.
Yeah. She just wants to make it clear. We're on opposite sides.
I mean, honestly,
here.
what I see is she's got the edge now.
Yeah. So we arrive at the slaughterhouse. That's where Carl's taking her. He ends up tying her up. And at the same time, Leatherface is also arriving on the scene.
Okay, hold on. An important thing I noticed, why is her shirt open?
Well, it has to be open because it's going to make sense for the next scene.
I know it has to be, but I'm like she's open to where like you almost see her boobs, right? Like it's like why she has her main shirt's open and with nothing underneath. And I'm like, when did that happen?
Yeah, I guess during the struggle. I don't know.
Was she? Yeah, I gotta play it back to see. Did she have an undershirt before? Like, I don't understand how any of that.
I don't know. You can go do your own investigation there.
Trust me, I'll look into it for everyone.
So at the same time, Leatherface. So when after he killed the cop, he was like moving the car and overheard radio traffic.
Oh yeah, well that's another thing. I just don't want to gloss over this. Leatherface is cleaning up the scene after he killed the cop. He's moving the cop car back to hide it maybe in the barn or something. But that's when the radio comes on and he hears, did they say that we have the Sawyer girl?
We have the girl from the Carson house. Meet us out at the slaughterhouse.
I don't remember exactly the dialogue. Enough to that he knows she's at the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, and so he's going to go to the slaughterhouse. But he doesn't know about her yet, though, I don't think.
He doesn't know who she is, but they've obviously met. And he knows it's a loose end that he has to clean up.
Oh, boom.
So he arrives over to Heather, finds her tied up, lays his saw on her shoulder, kind of gives her a little tap with it. Then he goes to the front and he's just ready to kill her. So he starts up the saw. He's going for the front bury.
And Heather has tape on her mouth, so she can't speak.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of
Yeah.
So she goes to bury the saw right in her stomach, but then he notices something on her chest. It's a mark.
The mark of the Sawyer.
The mark of the Sawyer.
Again, I'm sorry. It does not look like the Sawyer S to me. I'm just saying. But okay, this is where he figures it out.
I mean, let's be real. In a dark slaughterhouse, she would have been cut in half. So we see the cousins are starting to bond a little bit here, right?
Yeah, he finally now realizes who she is.
But things are going to go bad. Old Ollie and Bert arrive at the slaughterhouse. They send Carl off. They say this isn't any place for a cop. Come inside to see Leatherface starting to free Heather, and they jump him.
Yeah, okay, so before we get into the Leatherface beatdown here, Carl, by the way, leaves, never seen again. We never see anything about him. He's just gone.
Is that the last time we see
That's
Carl?
the last time we saw him, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, what happened to Carl? Nothing. We don't know.
Oh.
He's still out there. I thought maybe there's going to be another one. That's probably why they left the loose end.
Oh, maybe.
But that actor got famous, so he probably wasn't going to play in this one again.
Okay. So Ollie and Bert jump Leatherface. Again, he was trying to free Heather. They jump him, beat him up pretty good. They end up wrapping a chain around his neck that is leading to a meat grinder.
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting way to kill him, but it was cool. The idea is what they're going to do is wrap the chain around his neck. And then they have the other side of the chain in the meat grinder. They're going to start the meat grinder, and that's going to pull Leatherface down into it.
Yes.
And it is like this like funnel system, right? Like where the grinder actually is.
Yeah, very dangerous placement, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't know how butcher places work, slaughterhouses. I don't know.
Not OSHA compliant.
Yeah, there's no guardrails at all.
So Heather escapes at this time. Ends up, she has the scene where she goes.
Leatherface freed her.
Yeah. So she escapes though.
Yeah.
And she has a chance to like leave, or she goes back and helps out Leatherface.
She gotta help her cuz, man.
Oh God, that line. We're gonna get to it. So she ends up grabbing a pitchfork, stabs Ollie, puts him out of commission.
It is pretty good.
Picks up Leatherface's chainsaw, throws it to him, and then the most cringy line of any Texas Chainsaw movie.
Do your thing, cuz.
It is cringy, but I gotta admit, I kind of liked it.
I didn't like anything about it. I thought that was the lamest line I've ever heard.
I mean, it was lame, but that's why I kind of liked it. I
Do your
like
thing, cuz.
It was so stupid. You're right. I agree. But I do like stupid movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Do your thing, cuz. Oh, it's so bad. So Leatherface proceeds to cut off Bert's legs.
Well, here's the thing, though. Bert knows Leatherface now has a chainsaw. Leatherface is free. Chainsaw's active. Bert has just like a pipe wrench, or I don't know what he had in his hand. What is it?
It's something metal. I don't know.
Something metal. Bert's going at him. He's going to fight Leatherface with a saw.
Yeah, and by the way, there was a couple of like clashes with it where there was like no sparks or anything. Yeah, it was like whatever.
Didn't
Anyways,
have the FX budget.
yeah. Leatherface ends up getting the upper hand, takes off Bert's legs, ties the chain around Bert's neck, and he's going to do the same thing, send Bert to the meat grinder. But we have a problem because Sheriff Hooper has arrived on scene.
Ooh.
So Hooper's got a vantage point of this whole thing.
Yeah, he's up like on a catwalk watching over.
He's got his gun drawn. Bert's saying to shoot Leatherface. Heather's saying, don't kill him. Don't kill him. Well, Bert, obviously, he's going through this whole thing in his mind. Bert's the guy who caused a lot of these issues. Leatherface is just misunderstood, you know?
Yeah, Hooper, probably, you get the feeling he didn't feel good about what happened to the Sawyers.
Yeah. So he decides, I'm going to let Bert get drug into the meat grinder.
I'm going to let it ride. So I did think it was cool because Bert's trying to get free, but Leatherface's got his chainsaw kind of hitting it in front of his hand. So Bert actually backs himself up back to where the grinder is.
Oh, well, he does have a last-ditch effort because he ends up hanging from the side before he goes in.
He backed up all the way to where he's hanging. Very fortunate for the shot here.
Yes, because Leatherface comes along and just a tactician, man, just takes off each one of those hands and Bert's gone.
That was a brutal grinding too, because you kind of see it in there.
Yeah, you can feel the meat grinding.
So all's well. Bert's gone.
Yeah, Bert's gone. Hooper, he's cool. He says to Heather, clean it up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Clean up all these bodies.
Yeah. So the final scene here, we have Heather takes Leatherface back to the family house, cleans him up. She's obviously now the caretaker of Leatherface.
Yeah, she's fallen in the Sawyer role, and she's cool with it. She's gonna handle Leatherface and whatever he brings into her life.
Yeah. She reads Verna's final letter, which basically, explained everything that happened, the tragic history, who Leatherface is, cousin, all that stuff, right?
Cuz.
And Heather ends by closing the door and locking Leatherface back into the basement.
That's where you're wrong, actually. It ends with Leatherface shutting his own door. Oh. He shut the metal door. I kind of thought that was a cool little way to end it. But that's not the end, because I stayed to after the credits. And do you know what happens?
I do, because I watched it as well.
Because I told you to.
Yeah,
good job.
I didn't know it was in there. So Heather's parents arrive at the family house. Now, they're here looking for money.
Right. So Heather has told them what's happened, and they're there to,
we assume,
get there. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure she did. And they're there to get something out of this.
Yes. So Heather's mother says, remember to tell her, she's talking to the father, remember to tell her that you love her, to which her father says, for this kind of money, I almost do. Then we hear Leatherface's saw start up, only for the front door to be opened, and there's Leatherface.
What I think actually happened, I think she's there to kill her parents.
They're a-holes. They're part of this whole massacre. She wants them to die as well. She's a Sawyer.
Yeah, so she committed, and I think she called her parents there to have Leatherface do the work, because here's why. Leatherface would never answer the door.
No.
He's got a little butler uniform.
All right, so what did you think about this movie? Let's give our ratings.
Okay, not a good movie. It's a silly horror movie to me. However, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was a fun watch. I enjoyed it multiple times watching it. I like the characters. I think they're ridiculous. It's just a stupid, fun horror movie. And Leatherface was absolutely great in it. Again, a tactician, killed people in a variety of ways, but very calm. And he's likable. You know what's the weirdest part of these movies? I like Leatherface in some of them.
You Sawyer?
I Sawyer. When I pull up my arm, there's an S on it. Like Darren's really gone deep into this. No, I thought it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I disagree with some of your things. You said you liked the cast. I did not like the characters at all. The victims had no attachment to any of them.
No, I agree though. Like Kenny,
here's the flip.
No, like Kenny's an idiot. Like he horrible lines, but that's why I liked it. It was just so stupid.
Okay.
It's like I like to laugh at it. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I get that. I thought, I mean, I don't know. I had, as far as like caring about any of them, I didn't care at all. Again, they could die, no big deal.
Totally agree.
Even like the hookup with Ryan and Nikki didn't really matter because they kind of did that stuff in front of Heather. She didn't seem to even care. Like there was no real attachments to each other. Even her and Ryan, once they got to the house, they'd like talk here and there, but it wasn't like they were like boyfriend, girlfriend even. It was Ryan just did his own thing. She did her own thing.
Yeah, no, the movie was not good.
Yeah, I
Let's
thought,
be clear, it was not a good movie.
I also thought Heather was super corny. Like some of her acting, like the line she delivers in the police station, our dead friends, no emotion.
But there's a lack of emotion, I think, with all of them. They all like don't know what movie they're in, I feel like.
Yes, possibly true. But and also the cuz line, throwing the chainsaw and saying cuz, like, come on.
Best line of the movie.
I do agree. I did like Leatherface, super powerful tactician in this movie.
Likable?
He's likable too, because this is a classic, like he's only defending his home for the most part. Although he did go to the carnival. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was chasing her. He knows how to clean up loose ends, like you said.
That is true.
A wise man once said.
Yeah. Another thing I didn't really like is that there was no family. Like I love the Texas Chainsaws. I mean, honestly, my favorite are probably the first two, and it's because the family was so weird and different.
Yeah, like a tight knit group that is just each individual has personality, and they're all so different and weird.
Yeah,
I did like that about the originals too. Yes, again. This is not a good movie.
Yeah, so it made this movie unique, though, in that, like, you didn't have, the family wasn't the bad guys necessarily. It was the townsfolk that were bad. These vigilantes, the mayor, you know?
That is an interesting point, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think this movie was really, like, scary. There were some, like, jump scares, but it wasn't, like, a horror movie, you know, where you're, like, nervous about stuff, really. It's lighthearted, which we do like the campy stuff, so it's not bad. Overall, I would say this was an okay movie. I mean, I don't even know. If you're like I usually say, if you like Texas Chainsaw, I would say, if you're bored, maybe check it out.
It's so funny. We have such different tastes. I thought it was kind of a fun, stupid one.
It was stupid.
Did you think it was fun at all? Like, did you have fun watching it?
Yeah, it wasn't. Because it doesn't have the tension, so it's an easy watch.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about it. It's like right. It's easier. It's not as stressful.
But I'll never watch it again, probably.
Well, either will I, but but I did enjoy. Like, yeah, I would recommend if someone asks, like, "Oh, should I watch this?" I'd be like, "Yeah, check it out. It's cool."
So that's our review. Now it's time for us to tell you what you missed in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. Not only did Gunnar Henson return to this film, Marilyn Burns, who played Sally, the only one to escape, she plays Verna in this movie.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even notice that.
I know.
I mean, a lot of time has passed. You know.
And I was wondering, did she play the body of Verna? But I think there was a scene where they cut back and showed her. I think that's where it was. On to some continuity errors. When Heather reads the letter out loud in the van, it can be seen what she reads and what is actually written on the letter. Completely different.
Of course it is. I'm surprised there's even something written on it.
I know. The character of Sheriff Hooper and Bert Hartman are in the 1973 set opening scene. 39 years later, neither appears to have aged a day.
Well, yeah. And again, Cook aged backwards. So there's a lot of aging issues with this.
The date the farmhouse was burned and the family was killed was August 19th. However, as seen later in the film when Heather is looking at the newspaper, the story on the front page of the paper dated August 19th. The events would have had to occur after the newspaper was printed and distributed.
So it said it occurred the same day the newspaper was printed?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the police files that Heather was going through at the station, they state that Drayton Sawyer is the father of Loretta, Heather's mother, making him Heather's grandfather and making his son Leatherface her uncle, not her cousin, as repeatedly called in the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's Uncle Leatherface.
That puts it's a little bit of a brain twister for me.
Yeah, you got to really like sit there and think about it.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it, sure.
When they pick up Daryl, it's raining heavily, but when the camera points inside the car, it can be seen through the car windows. There's no rain.
Of course not.
The mayor asks Deputy Marvin if he has his eagle, almost certainly reference to the Desert Eagle line of high-caliber handguns. Marvin says that he does, and an extended clip. The handgun deputy he's carrying is not a Desert Eagle, nor does it have an extended clip.
Oh, that's really funny. Yeah, you're right. I should have noticed that because I did notice that eagle line too. I didn't even think about to look at his guide.
So that ends our review of Texas Chainsaw 3. Next one we're going to be hitting is Leatherface,
which I don't think is a good movie.
I feel like we've kind of hit the best of the best. I think we're going to be on a downhill slide. I'm not sure though. I haven't seen these next two.
I've never seen Leatherface. I have seen our last one though. So that's a fun one. Again, I like if it's a bad movie, I enjoy it as long as it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know what this next one is.
Yeah. Well, it'll be fun. But anyways, thank you guys all for listening. It's very much appreciated. Thank you guys who left comments, like, subscribe, did all that stuff. You guys are the best.
Hey, and if anyone else wants to get shouted out, leave a comment. No, not a comment. Leave a review.
Yeah, that'll work. All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for hanging out. See you.